Joining us now is Cheryl Chumley, an opinion editor for the Washington Times. So, Cheryl, we see that Wisconsin is now going to delay their primary race, the elections in that state. We've seen other states in the past kind of take similar measures, Ohio being the most notable. Do you think that this is something that we should get used to in the weeks ahead?
I think that we probably are going to see more delays in the election. There's really no other, unless all of a sudden we see a great success in the turn down of the coronavirus rate. I don't see, a lot of these elections going forward as planned.
Yeah, and we've actually seen President Trump, for example, yesterday, he kind of was criticizing Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker for some of the measures that he's taken. But even some of those on the left have kind of criticized his decision to not delay the Illinois election, of course, taking place on the same day as the Ohio one. We saw him and Governor Mike DeWine kind of go in opposite directions. And so the elections, nonetheless, are moving forward as planned. We still see that Bernie Sanders is in the race. Do we know exactly what his game plan is?
No, we don't. The fact that Bernie Sanders is still in this race at all is puzzling, not just to me, but to a lot of political strategists as well. Joe Biden is the Democrat pick at this point, and the fact that Bernie Sanders cannot recognize that, it's a puzzler. It really is.
And it's a little bit similar to what happened in 2016, too. I mean, he stayed in until the end for the most part. Of course, then he threw his weight behind Hillary Clinton. But even right now, you hear kind of skeptics, or at least maybe critics of Joe Biden, I'll frame them that way, saying that Joe Biden might not be the nominee, that he has too many gaffes, and that maybe they're looking to give it to someone else at the convention. Of course, those are kind of unfounded speculation. But would there be any truth to that if they decided not to give the nomination to Joe Biden at the end, that they would essentially have to give it to Bernie Sanders if he was the only man in the race with the next amount of delegates?
I don't think Bernie Sanders would be the natural next step in line should Joe Biden not be the nominee. And I do think that Joe Biden is in the end going to be the Democrats' pick. I think it's too late in the game right now. There's too much going on to try and put another candidate in front of Joe Biden. I think that's kind of decided. But to take Biden out of the picture and make Bernie Sanders as the natural second, I just don't see it. He doesn't have that steam behind it.
No, I agree, and especially after essentially voters kind of rejected his platform for Joe Biden. I mean, Joe Biden, say what you want about his campaign, he surprised a lot of people. He surfaced from that very crowded field. He's now the top guy running away with the whole race a lot earlier than people were expecting. So maybe we shouldn't be kind of turning our shoulder yet on Joe Biden just yet. It seems like the American people are kind of supporting him. I guess it's more of a question of enthusiasm when you get to the general election. But regarding the coronavirus outbreak, too, it seems like right now he is staying a little bit distant. He's kind of having these limited appearances from his basement. He took a little bit of a hiatus the past 2 weeks before he kind of resurfaced once again. Do you think that this is what we should expect going forward? Kind of limited appearances from Joe Biden until we get to the general?
Absolutely. And actually, I think that's one of the big reasons why he will definitely be the Democrats' pick, because he's not out there. Joe Biden makes a lot of gaffes, and it's not just gaffes that are laughable. It's politically damaging gaffes that Trump and Team Trump can use for political harm. So the less we see of Joe Biden, honestly, the better his chances are.
And, I'm a little bit hesitant to my Democratic colleagues who are on board with that idea, because it seems a little bit like that was the strategy that Hillary Clinton used for a while. She kind of saw herself running away with a nomination back in 2016. There were once again kind of lingering rumors, theories, whatever you want to call them, regarding her health, and she was kind of staying silent for a little bit. So it seems like it might be actually the repeated type of strategy. But when it comes to Joe Biden, do you think that they are looking to use this coronavirus outbreak maybe to capitalize on and kind of use his experience to kind of deter against President Trump, or to try to sway voters against President Trump?
Yes, I mean, Joe Biden has an easy sell of it right now because Trump is in the midst of fighting coronavirus. Joe Biden, all he has to do is come out and point out Trump's mistakes and in a cool, calm, and collected manner explain how he would do better. And the fact is, if it sounds good, then he wins points because there's no way to prove him right or wrong.
And do you think that when we get to the general election, President Trump, for example, hindsight is 2020. Of course, we don't want to speculate or anything like that. But say that we come out of this and we're once again, the economy comes back and the president has kind of at least limited this response a little bit. Do you think that this is going to be the deciding issue come the general election?
It's really hard to say because if the economy doesn't get going again, then this is going to hurt Trump. And I think that he's going to lose a lot of even his voters that support him right now. It just depends really crucially on the next month what happens with the economy, jobs, and honestly with civil and constitutional rights.
Yeah, and I think even when we look back, for example, at the Obama administration coming out of the 2008 recession, a lot of people criticized that administration for the anemic growth coming out of that recession, not necessarily the recession itself. So I think that that same type of standard will be applied coming out of the coronavirus. However we kind of bounce back will determine how people feel about the Trump administration. But Cheryl, I really appreciate you coming on, breaking down this last-minute development regarding Wisconsin and the rest of the election. Thank you.